El ingenioso hidalgo Don Quijote de la Mancha, el libro del año, pasión por la lectura.
No ha sido fácil. Llegar al TEC es la suma de muchos momentos. Además, ser un completo desconocido, en medio de un universo vasto de conocimiento y aprendizaje, puede ser muy imponente.
Pero desde que inicias el primer día de clases, conoces a tus nuevos amigos, a tus profesoras y profesores, a tus diferentes guías. Llegan los veranos, los exámenes, las semanas TEC, transcurren las clases, los deportes y los cursos live, y te vuelves uno con tu campus.
Hasta que llegue el momento de saber que has conquistado la estrella más alta, tu carrera. Tu vida ahora es diferente. Promete cambios importantes. Ha llegado el momento de dejar estas aulas y llevarte las amistades y muchos recuerdos.
Ahora sé que mi alma mater es eterna. La llevo a todos lados. Y mi esencia permanecerá aquí siempre.
Felicidades a la nueva generación de graduadas y graduados de profesional y posgrado. Tech Sounds Radio 94.9 FM. Amplifica tus emociones.
No te pierdas la oportunidad de ser parte de la IFE Conference 2025, un evento que reúne líderes de innovación educativa a través de conferencias magistrales, paneles, eventos híbridos, networking y mucho más. 3 días con más de 250 actividades destinadas al aprendizaje, colaboración e innovación. IFE Conference 2025, del 28 al 30 de enero en el TEC de Monterrey, Campus Monterrey. Regístrate ahora en ifeconference.tec.mx y únete a esta experiencia única. IFE Conference 2025, impulsando el futuro de la educación con innovación y tecnologías.
México decidió continuar por el camino del cambio verdadero e iniciar el segundo piso de la cuarta transformación. Con la primera mujer presidenta, seguirá un gobierno comprometido, cercano y que ve por quienes más lo necesitan. Porque la esperanza es el motor que nos impulsa rumbo a un futuro de amor, bienestar y prosperidad compartida. Morena, la esperanza de México.
Escuchas XHTEC, Tech Sounds Radio 94.9 FM, la emisora de radio del TEC de Monterrey. El siguiente programa es clasificación A, contenido apto para todo público.
Las opiniones vertidas en el siguiente programa son de exclusiva responsabilidad de quienes las emiten y no representan necesariamente el pensamiento o la línea editorial de esta emisora y su institución.
Experiencias académicas, culturales y personales compartidos por estudiantes internacionales en el TEC de Monterrey. Welcome to the space in which students from all over the world share their exchange experiences with us. Una visión única de quienes llegan a nuestro país y la travesía de los que se van en busca de una experiencia global. Esto es Global Connection con Carolina Alcántara. Iniciamos.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Connection. I'm Carolina Alcántara, an International Programs Advisor here at TEC Campus Monterrey. And today we're going to explore the lives of exchange students at TEC de Monterrey and how their experience has gone so far. In today's episode, we have 2 special guests that come not from the Netherlands, but I mean, they study in the Netherlands, but they are not coming from there, if that makes a little bit of sense. I would like to introduce you from Germany. We have Jana Kapman. Hello. And from Belgium, we have Vanina Lerman.
Hi.
Welcome. How do you feel?
Excited. Yeah. Excited. Looking forward.
I'm really grateful that you're here. And also,
inviting us.
I'm glad, like, excited. No, but it's nice because it's a kind of like a different experience. Have you ever been in a radio show?
No, never. We once did one in high school, but I always wanted to be a radio moderator, actually.
Now is your time to spot on.
Hire me, please. Next week, this is going to be me.
She's taking my job. Oh my God.
Sorry.
No, but you know, in Mexican radio, I'm gonna start speaking a little bit in Spanish. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna say a little bit what we're talking about because there's some Mexican laws. But just like if you hear me speaking in Spanish, it's just like a wrap up of what we're saying.
Okay.
Lo que les comentaba es que, pues, como es un programa que se hace en inglés, pero estamos en Radio Mexicana, vamos a estar, voy a estar haciendo como unas interrupciones explicando un poco de lo que estamos hablando. En este caso les comentaba que tenemos a 2 estudiantes que vienen de Netherlands, que sería Holanda, y ellas son Vanina, que es de Bélgica, y Jana, que es de Alemania. Y ellas dos están estudiando en Holanda. Entonces nos van a contar un poco de su experiencia de intercambio acá en México, al igual que su experiencia de intercambio en Holanda. Entonces, sigan aquí poniendo atención. Un poco va a ser, voy a explicarles un poco en español para que nuestros radioescuchas que no entienden inglés entiendan qué está pasando. Al igual que también, pues, la mayoría de este podcast va a ser en inglés, pero pues esas pequeñas intervenciones en español para que puedan entender. Y pues, stay tuned, ¿ok?
Crónicas de un intercambio. La experiencia de vivir en México. Chronicles of an Exchange.
Talking about your first impressions here in Mexico and how you adapted so far here. How do you feel so far here at Tec de Monterrey and in Monterrey?
Yeah, I love it. I'm feeling really good here. I enjoy every aspect of my stay here. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel like arriving in Monterrey was very different than how I expected it to be like. I read reports and I read that it was supposed to be a very Americanized city, and I don't actually know how I imagined it to be. Maybe even more industrial than it actually is. But then on our very first day, I met up with Vanina, and we had a very contrasting experience. We first walked to the Walmart, crossing the highway, 20-minute walk. Nice. We were like, this is not what we're gonna do ever again. And then after, we went to Barrio Antiguo and had a very different impression of the city. Yes. So I feel like that already kind of prepared us for the different aspects the city has to offer. Was a good introduction to arriving, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
What made you decide for Tec de Monterrey when you were applying for studying abroad?
I knew that I wanted to go to some country in Latin America because I wanted to improve my Spanish especially, and I went on exchange to Argentina in high school. So I really wanted to, I wanted to go back, and I knew that if I would go to Latin America, I would go to a place where I could actually also make connections with people that stay there and not only with exchange students. So that's why I chose Latin America in general. And then our uni did not have many opportunities in Latin America. We had 2 universities in Santiago de Chile and Tec de Monterrey. And then we arrived here.
I guess. Yeah, for me it was the same. I wanted to go to a Spanish-speaking country, either Spain or Mexico. And, well, I guess my university chose for me. And I'm very glad they chose Mexico for me.
Because it's so far from, I mean...
Yeah, it's so far,
close, right?
and it's very different. It's less European, and then it's a total different experience. But, yeah.
And what do you study?
At home, we both do European studies. I feel like it's a pretty unknown program, and people, are understandably confused if we say we do European studies and we're on exchange in Mexico, which is not that European itself. But it's like a mixture of politics, history, economics, sociology, cultural science, a bit of everything, focused on Europe. But I feel like it makes a lot of sense to be in a country outside of Europe to also learn more about Europe and to learn how people outside of Europe actually understand and see it.
Exactly.
It gives you like another perspective.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. We have another. Yeah.
And in what university do you study?
In Maastricht University. It's in between Germany and Belgium, let's say. It's close to a border and in the south of.
Yeah, the most southern city of the Netherlands. You can cross the border to Germany and Belgium in like 20 minutes.
Exactly.
People even live across the border. Like, we have peers that study with us that live in Belgium or that live across the border in Germany, and then they just cycle to uni every day. It's crazy. It's so close.
Really looks like a drop of the Netherlands into Belgium and Germany. Yeah.
I think everything in Europe, it's so close in a way.
It is. But these like super close crossings of like
Especially
3 countries, that's really still mind-blowing if you are from Europe and if you are from there. It's like you can bike from Belgium through the Netherlands to Germany in like I don't know, like 2 hours maybe. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like doing a regular hike here.
Exactly.
And what do you think about like the city, the mountains when you arrive? Like, did you expect it that this was gonna be Mexico?
No.
No, not really. Well, the mountains, I knew about it because, yeah. And I'm still like every day amazed by Cerro de la Silla that we have in the view from the classes, but also from home, from our apartment. And also going for a hike in those mountains, still really mind-blowing.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you do with ecotourism here, right? I think.
Yeah.
The scenery is incredible.
Yeah. Looks like a movie.
Every day walking to uni, I take pictures, I take videos, I'm like sending them to my friends. I'm like, "Yes, you don't understand how beautiful this is." And I feel like you can have whatever city, like you can have an industrial area, but you put mountains behind it and it's beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's a city like we're surrounded by mountains.
Yeah, especially also with the palm trees. So
Yeah.
on the pictures you have both the mountain and the palm trees, and you're like, wow.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Seriously, but that's like, yeah, I feel like the imaginary I had, like the image I knew of Mexico before coming here was very, very different. And I feel like it's very colorful houses, but you don't know that much. Well, I didn't know that much about how the nature here is gonna look like. So it was incredible to arrive and like see this scenic mountain view, and from my balcony at home I can like watch straight into the mountains. It's incredible. It's
And
still mind blowing.
They're huge.
Yeah.
The thing is that
Yeah, yeah, they are.
Yeah, definitely. Compared to the mountains we have, I mean, we do have mountains in Germany, of course, but like these are high.
Yeah, and they're extensive. That's why
Yeah.
they also like they're quite a unique thing here. In like the Sierra Madre and everything. It's quite a unique thing for Monterrey.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny when you started at the beginning saying that when you arrived here, that you wanted to walk to the supermarket.
Yeah, I think our European mind told us to, maybe let's walk to the grocery store.
But we don't need to Uber everywhere. We can just go for a walk. It's nice. We're gonna see the city. We saw the highway.
No, when you arrive to Monterrey, I think you realize that this is not a walkable city, right?
But I feel like anywhere in
No.
Mexico is not that walkable. I feel like
Yeah.
Maybe Oaxaca,
Guadalajara. Yeah, Oaxaca, Guadalajara.
like some
Or
city
those
centers.
cities, yeah.
But like the center.
Yeah.
As soon as you're a bit outside,
Then you have to take the car. And it's quite inconvenient for
Yeah,
exchange students for us.
of
So we
course.
need to Uber everywhere.
yeah. But it's
But
great.
yeah.
Then at one point you maybe know people who have a car,
Yeah.
and like that helps, of course.
You're like, hello, let's be friends.
In the beginning, I was also thinking about buying a bike. I was like, oh, when I arrive, I can get a bike so that I can like bike to uni and bike to the city center. But
This is not Netherlands.
yeah, no.
We wouldn't recommend you to transport in a bike. No,
definitely not.
there's not a lot of regarding like the you know, it's not ethics, but how you say it, like it's how people when like
The habits? Or like
yeah, like that, yeah, there's not like good habits regarding like transport, how people should treat people in bicycles or like bicycle lanes.
Yeah.
So I think if you move in a bicycle around this city, it's like a challenge, and it's like you're putting your life on the line every day.
every time I see someone on a bike, I'm like, you have all my respect. I could never be me, but you go.
Yeah, and I think coming from from Netherlands, that it's everyone uses bikes there, right?
Nobody
Yes.
uses a car.
No. The bikes everywhere. It's
Uni
crazy.
has a like when you arrive to our faculty, because
Yeah.
our uni is spread around the city, the first place you go to is the bike shed. Like you arrive and then there's an enormous bike shed
Yeah.
with everybody's bikes, and it's crowded and everybody's in there, and then you try to find a parking lot for a bike, but sometimes you can't find it, and then you have to like come up with something. Like they even have like double-decker parking
that's
garages
like
for bikes in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, they do. At the station also,
Yeah.
that's crazy. The train station.
Everywhere.
And what do you do when it rains, for example?
Bike.
You bike. You bike.
Bike.
You take a
When you go out,
like
you
raining
a raincoat.
raincoat.
Yeah.
Yeah. You bike.
I perfectionized biking with an umbrella
Yeah,
the
you
months
told
before
me.
I arrived here. So I'm an advanced biker now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, I would be proud of that because it's like you need to be maneuvering. Yeah.
Yeah. And
My
on
bike.
top of the rain, you have the
Yeah.
winds
It's
also,
cool.
and like
Oh, no.
the umbrella, I can already see you.
No.
Seriously though.
No, yeah, I think that would be like definitely a challenge and
It
something
is.
you want to master if you're doing that, of course.
Exactly. But like, it's a challenge, but it's really nice to have that opportunity because in Maastricht, really like, if you want to bike through the whole city, if like your friends live at the other end of the city, it's a maximum of 20 minutes. And
Yep.
What?
by bike, like
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
it's incredible. You can go wherever in 20 minutes by bike.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
there's
Wow.
bike
Yeah.
lanes and there's special like street lights for
For bikes.
bikes.
20 minutes is not even going from the city center, from here to the city center. Like
No.
Barrio Antiguo, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
more like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It's
But
incredible.
especially Maastricht is not that big of a city,
Yeah.
which makes it even like easier to take the bike everywhere. Yeah.
What do you feel about the student life here? I mean, maybe what are the main differences that you see studying in the Netherlands to studying here in a university like TEC de Monterrey?
You can go first.
For me, it was like it's very, very different because the Netherlands have a surprisingly big culture of student associations.
Yeah.
But they're more like social clubs, I would say. It's mostly not like a sports association. It's more like the sorority and fraternity thing that you would be used to from the US, which was very surprising,
Mhm.
at times shocking to me when I arrived there. So I really appreciated that here there was this big diversity of sports associations, and you can join that club, and you can go hiking, and you can join a reading circle, and you can have even like sports classes on your timetable. Like I signed, like when I arrived, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever. I want to do something that I've never done before, so I signed up for reggaeton classes. And first I didn't get in, but then on the first actual day of classes, I received the email that I could go that day, and I was like, fuck, am I gonna go? Can I go? Like, what am I gonna do? But then I saw my roommates, and they were like, Jana, you're here for half a year, just do whatever you can, just go. And I went. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so fun. And that we wouldn't have at home. Like, we have a sports center where you can book classes.
but it's really different.
It's expensive.
Yeah, you have to pay for a membership, and then sometimes you also have to pay for those classes. And here, like, could it be like live classes, but also those extra spots in the live
wellness
classes?
center.
Yeah, and the wellness center also offer classes. Everything you join the day you want it, and it's so nice that you have those classes. Yeah,
It's super fun.
yeah.
But-
Tell me.
Yeah, so that on like the sports and like more like university activities, but also in general student life, I feel like here is very, very rich. There are always things happening. I feel like
Mhm.
you cannot spend a day without having an opportunity to do something. Like, I feel like when we got back from like second tech week, maybe I was like, okay, today I'm not going to do anything, and I felt I was shocked by myself because there are just so many things happening.
Yeah.
You have to like actively decide not to do something rather than actively having to look for something to do. Things keep coming up.
Yeah.
Student life here is really active, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you go out of your class and you see like
In
Jardín
the
Carreras,
jardín,
and there's
yeah,
always
yeah,
something there, right?
Yeah, and you just drop by and look at the artists or like the show that's just happening, and
There's
it's so nice.
always something. Yeah.
And what about studying? Like the classes and like what do you think about the tech system?
I would say it's very different from our home university. Well, the period system, cycle systems kind of look like our university because we also have those periods of a few weeks of class and then 1 week of exam. But regarding the classes in itself, I mostly have optativas, which are those classes that students have to choose to study, which is different from what they actually study. And it's very interesting to attend those classes because it's very different from the classes we have at home. Then the workload is also different, and the material is given in a different manner also. We have more interactive classes, but also tasks, more presentations and group projects everywhere.
Here at Tech.
Yeah, here at Tech. At Tech, I mean.
Yeah, I feel like at home we often have this structure of having one lecture per class. Like in these cycles that we also have, we only have 2 classes per cycle that we do, and then the next cycle, the timetable will be completely different, and you'll be with a completely new group, completely new contents. And each of these 2 classes per cycle is structured in a manner that we have 1 lecture a week and then 2 tutorials in which we discuss readings, but it's more student-led, I would say. So at home, it's mostly the students preparing the plan for the class, and the tutors are just there to like correct things that the students may have understood wrong.
More like a guide.
Exactly, but it's more like self-organized, I would say.
We have to actively prepare the class and actively participate to the class.
And that was very different coming here to see that there's more like this frontal style of teaching, and then also having that many group projects was at first maybe a bit overwhelming, but at the same time nice, because you definitely meet people in your classes. As an exchange student, that's great because you always have this social interaction because you're always involved in some group project at least. But the structure of teaching is really different.
I think the tech model is more centered towards like always interacting with more people to do projects and like making the things to learn it, right? Rather than like learning the theory. Like you need to understand the theory before so you can actually start making the stuff, but in tech it's more like you start making the stuff.
Exactly. Here's more hands-on, maybe. It's like,
that's the word.
At home we understand the theory and the theoretical backgrounds together, but here it's like you get out of class and you have a product in a way, because it's often like preparing a poster or preparing a presentation or preparing some video, some kind of evidence that you actually understood what you were talking about. That's actually
like you make like a portfolio, right? In
a
way
exactly.
It helps you to like for the future maybe showing that.
I agree, definitely.
Bueno, pues estamos ahorita con esta Jana y Vanina y nos están contando un poco su experiencia de intercambio aquí en el TEC, cómo es el modelo TEC 21 en comparación con sus modelos en sus universidades. Ellas estudian en Holanda y se acaban de conectar para que estén un poco al tanto de lo que estamos hablando. Y pues recuerden que están en Global Connection, en Tech Sounds Radio, y seguimos.
A miles de kilómetros, descubriendo un mundo de posibilidades. Thousands of kilometers.
Well, we're back with 1,000 miles away. In this case, we don't have, usually in this section, we have a student from Mexico, from like, well, maybe it could also be from another part of the world, but it's a student that studies all of his or her career here at Tec de Monterrey. But in this case, since we didn't got someone, I think you're perfect because you're actually also doing an exchange. Well, you're not doing an exchange, but you're not from the Netherlands and you're studying in the Netherlands. So you can also give like that perspective for people that want to study in the Netherlands, how is to study in the Netherlands and why you decide to make like, for instance, your whole degree there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, why did you, when you were deciding to study, why did you say, okay, let's go to the Netherlands?
Okay, I was very lost first. I heard about many universities in Belgium. Also, I was a bit inspired by my sister. I was like, maybe I should do the same thing as her. But then I heard about Maastricht from a friend. and then I interested myself more in that university. And when I learned that how the educational system is built, I knew it was for me, because I need to be involved in the class to actually pay attention to the class and to learn and to memorize everything. So the Belgian system wouldn't fit me, because in Belgium it's more you have a lecturer that gives a lecture for a few hours, and then it's most of the time it's like that. Of course you have some class where you do activities together with groups, but it's very different, and Maastricht was really the type of education that I was looking for.
Yeah, I would say the German system seems pretty similar to what you said about the Belgium system. I knew that I wanted to get some kind of bachelor's degree that offers more of a broader spectrum of knowledge than just studying one specific subject. And I knew that I was interested in politics and in what's going on in the world, but I did not just want to study politics, but also have more of a cultural background maybe. And then a friend of mine from my hometown that always knew that she was definitely not going to stay there decided to go to the Netherlands. And I saw that as such a brave step. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. She's just going to a completely different country. I had never even really been to the Netherlands. Like I went once as a child with my parents and then once to visit her. But then I just started looking into universities there because I felt like it was so cool. And found this specific program in Maastricht, and then I looked it up in Germany as well, and it only exists in 2 cities, and it's both rather small cities, not very, not cities that are especially known to be very European, I would say, in the manner that like they're very involved in European politics or anything, but the city of Maastricht is very emblematic for the European Union and European politics. And Maastricht University seemed to be right in the center of that, so that seemed like the perfect place. At the same time, it's close to Germany, so I still had the opportunity to like say I'm going home for a weekend. So that seemed ideal.
And did you ever feel that you needed to learn the language to attend the university there?
Well, the language in everyday education in uni is English. So all of our classes are in English. Most of our professors aren't even from the Netherlands. They're also from, different places in the world, not just in Europe, but also from the US, from everywhere. So in uni, I never felt like it was necessary in any way to speak Dutch. But I myself really wanted to like integrate into Dutch culture. So it was clear for me that I wanted to learn the Dutch language. Which as a German is really easy to say because it's quite close and there are Dutch classes for Germans especially.
Wow.
Which the uni offered. There was Dutch for German speakers, which was really nice because we could advance faster because the languages are really, really similar to each other. But you don't, nowhere in the city you would actively need to speak Dutch. I remember going to the library and was looking for a book, and the only person that was working there that I could see was a really old Dutch man. And I looked at him, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be the moment where I need to like practice my Dutch to ask him. And I started my sentence and he replied in English, like fluent English, perfect English. Like, not even here. So it's actually rather hard to practice the Dutch you learned in class because everybody's fluent in English. And,
that's the aspect I was a bit missing because sometimes when you go to a grocery store or something, then you start the sentence in Dutch, and if you like don't find a word, and I search for it or I say it in English, and then they directly reply in English, and I'm like, oops.
No, I wanted to practice. You're gonna be like, no, wait, I want to speak Dutch, so don't reply in Dutch, please. Maybe you can make a shirt like
reply in Dutch, please. Only Dutch, please.
Trying to learning the language.
I feel that's a very common experience for most people I talk to. Also, quite many people speak French or German because of the the
area.
closeness to the border. So yeah, you don't need it, but at the same time, I think it's really cool that the uni offers some courses to have a base, because if you spend 3 years living in that country and you don't speak a bit of the language, it's also sad. I feel like some of the traditions and like festivities and just having the feeling of what it is like to live in a Dutch city.
Yeah, and also for yourself to say that you actually can speak a bit the language from the city you live in, the country you live in. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and I mean also it's a way to like I don't know if that's your experience, but for instance, I think sometimes for instance if you go to a Scandinavian country and they like the language is so peculiar, and I think usually when people from that place reunite, like they start speaking the language and you feel like a little bit maybe left out. So it's nice when you know the language and you can actually like maybe you don't speak that well the language, but you can actually understand it and you can get the insight.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
I know you're talking about me.
So you're right there.
It's nice that because I think when you go to another country and people like think that you don't know the language and they start speaking the language and then you can reply like here, for instance in Mexico, maybe people don't know that you know Spanish, and then they start saying something and then you can say muchas gracias, con permiso.
That is indeed quite funny, true.
Yeah.
It's like a superpower.
It's a superpower. Yeah, totally. I think when people never think that you speak the language and they just keep talking, it's just like I'm gonna
I get you.
Definitely.
And why did you wanted to study what you were telling me that you were studying European studies.
Easy.
What was the reason that drawn you to that degree? Like, I mean, maybe here we have, for example, I think maybe you're taking classes of international relations here, right?
I don't.
No, me neither. No.
Because you have optativas and you can take whatever you want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our home university is quite okay with the classes we take here.
That's
whatever.
As long as we have the credits, they're quite cool with it, let's say.
I think it's nice having that flexibility because often when you want to do an exchange, you need to do something that it's out of your degree, right? Like,
exactly. And it's amazing to have the possibility to just follow some niche interests here, because the courses here are like the offer of courses is so broad. You can do anything. I know people that do like music production and
cinema. Yeah.
And I took an arts class. I've never done arts, but it was just really, really nice to do something completely different out of the usual.
Yeah, because if not, when else would you have the opportunity to do something that's not related to your degree?
Exactly. And now we have the opportunity to go outside of our bubble of European studies. Very interesting.
Super nice.
I think it's nice that you gave yourself, that your university gave you that opportunity and that you also gave yourself the chance to study something that's not like related to what you do.
Super cool.
Bueno, pues estábamos hablando un poquito de cómo es estudiar en Holanda, su experiencia de como estudiantes también en este caso de Bélgica y de Alemania estudiando en Holanda. Pues quédense al pendiente, vamos a un corte comercial y volvemos. Recuerden que está escuchando Tech Sounds Radio.
Es momento de tomar un break. No tardamos. Sigue con nosotros. XHTEC 94.9 FM, la plataforma radiofónica de comunicación y divulgación del TEC en Monterrey. Tech Sounds Radio, tecnológico de Monterrey. Una revisión histórica y la temática de las canciones interpretadas por los mejores cantantes en el mundo en las últimas 7 décadas. The Crooners, con Daniel Cabrera. Miércoles 5 de la tarde, solo por Tech Sounds Radio 94.9 FM, Monterrey.
El Consejo de Valores de Nuevo León, en compañía de Movac AC, presentan la frase del día. La resiliencia no define a los más fuertes o a los más inteligentes, sino a aquellos que se adaptan al cambio, sonríen y siguen. Vívelo hoy.
En el segundo piso de la Cuarta Transformación, se reconoce a las mujeres por haber dedicado su vida al cuidado de sus familias. Por eso, a partir de enero de 2025, en México se entregará la pensión Mujeres Bienestar. Comenzaremos con todas las mujeres de 63 a 64 años y gradualmente incorporaremos a las de 60 a 62. Ubica tu módulo de registro en gov.mx/bienestar y regístrate antes del 30 de noviembre. Gobierno de todas y todos los mexicanos. Gobierno de México.
Economía, política, negocios. Tech Sounds Radio 94.9 FM, la emisora de radio del TEC de Monterrey. Estamos de regreso. Continuamos. El desafío, la integración cultural, The Challenge.
Pues estamos de vuelta. Recuerden que están en Tech Sounds Radio escuchando Global Connection. Y pues ahorita continuamos con The Challenge. Y en esta parte pues vamos a hablar un poquito de algunas dificultades que han tenido durante su intercambio y en este caso también su experiencia estudiando en otro país, siendo ellas de otro país al igual. Pues continuamos en inglés. So, we're gonna talk a little bit about the challenges that you have had so far. For instance, here in Mexico, like being from another culture, and also further on, you can also tell me what like your experience being like from Germany and Belgium, like how is the cultural shock related to the Netherlands, or if there's any. Well, for instance, let's say Mexico. What was the like maybe when you see Mexico, you think about like the American movies and how they portray Mexicans, right? What was the main like challenge that actually was like, oh my god, this is like something different from what I expected?
You can go first.
I think that's a really good question. I feel like I was aware of the fact that it was, of course, not gonna be like in the movies, because speaking to people who had been to Mexico before, because I had like this is still my first time in Mexico. Just reading about the reports from people that had already been here and like talking to people that had seen the country presented a completely different version of how life is here and how people are like than what you would know from like I would say even the news, like everything that portrays Mexico or Latin America in general in Europe, I would say, is very, very one-sided and very. It portrays a different world, a different life, definitely. And then arriving and knowing, or like, trying to let go of this perception or like this pre-made imaginary that you're taught when you tell people, oh, actually I'm going to Mexico. And then being super happy about it, but then people confronting you with, oh, but why do you do this to your parents? How can you do this to your family? No, your poor parents. And then arriving and being like, no, like I'm going to be here and I'm going to be very fine, and being confident that this will be a great time. I think it's what you need to have a good time, of course. But I would say that the bigger culture shock is actually happening in Europe when you tell people that you're going instead of actually arriving. I don't know if that makes sense and if it's understandable, but like that is the shock, not arriving here, because I feel like Mexico welcomes you with such open arms and thinking of going, I'm gonna cry, but like I feel like you can't feel shocked because everybody would protect you from the shock and like, I don't know, it's
taking their arms and like just recomfort you, and there's no problem. Like
it's like of course it's different, but it's not shocking in a way. And I feel like the things that are different, I appreciate them, and I wish that these things would change in Germany or the Netherlands as well.
Like what?
The openness, and also this, like, I don't know, I feel like a stereotype of like Latin American people is that they're always late and that you never know when they will arrive. But that's me too. Like I'm a bad example for a German in that because I'm always late, and like the amount of times that Vanina has waited for me in front of my house are uncountable at this point. But I think these things to like go with the flow rather, and like that might be shocking, of course, if you're from a country that is very structured and that tells you that if you don't follow this structure, it's wrong. That can be shocking, of course, but I think it's something that also makes it feel easier to arrive because you learn that you can like arrive at your pace and you can live your life at your pace and you can adapt and like I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not like a crazy shock. I feel like.
Yeah.
No, and that is what makes it even better, you know.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just dive and you're like swimming around everyone, and it's not a competition or anything, and everyone just goes the way he wants and the way she wants.
Yeah, have you learned the word ahorita?
Yeah.
That word means everything.
There's no space and time in that word.
No. I was talking about that word with a friend like 2 days ago because she was like, "You heard that now? Right now?" She said, "Ahorita voy a estar con ustedes," and like, what does this mean? Do you think like ahorita in this sentence meant like she's gonna come with us right now, or do you think like in like 5 minutes, or like when? And I was like, "Yo, bro, like when I learned one thing in the past month is that you never know what ahorita means."
Ahorita is like maybe like right now,
next week,
in a year.
In the past, right?
Yeah.
In the past, I was talking in Spanish with my friends, and I was so confused because every 2 sentences she was saying ahorita, but talking about different time space, and my brain just like disconnected. I was like, okay, then I guess I will never know what that word exactly means.
I would say ahorita is more like saying like in a moment it would happen, but we never know when that moment would arrive, you know?
It's a moment.
It's just a moment that might or might not happen. Yeah. So no expectations at all.
Yeah.
But do you think it was a little bit? I mean, I think in Germany it's I don't know in Belgium, but I think Germans tend to be more like it needs to be at this time and it needs to be like that. I don't know, like more squared, right?
Yeah, it's very very scheduled. I would say I have my best friend at home. She grew up on I grew up on the countryside, but she grew up on the countryside like a village where there's only her family, 27,000 chicken and nobody else. And like whenever I come back from the Netherlands, and when I will come back now for Christmas, I will spend like a day or a weekend with her family, and it's a completely different way of living. It's like, okay, we get up at 7, and then at 7:15 we have breakfast, and at 12 we have lunch at my grandma's, and at 5:30 we have dinner, and then we like do things around. But it's like a very structured routine. It's a very routine-focused country, I would say.
Yeah. What do you think about Belgium?
No, I feel in Belgium we are more seen to be chill. Oh, it's the Belgians, you know them. I don't know. I feel like we look like chill people. Of course, there is some punctuality and stuff, but I feel it's a bit different. We have less this image of punctuality and structure than,
Yeah, I think when you come, like, when it comes to talk a little bit about Germans, it's like the first thing, maybe in Mexico you think, tequila.
Yeah.
But like with Germans, it's like punctuality.
Yeah.
No, I'm a bad example.
No, but I mean, it's good to know that it's not like everyone.
Yeah, not everyone.
Because even I think here in Mexico, it's like, I think for some Germans, the challenge has been that when they say an hour and they arrive at the hour,
no one else.
No, I mean, even the host, I think, is taking a shower and he's like, "What are you doing here? I stay at 7." But like you said, 7. It's 7. Yeah, but like you're 3 hours later. Yeah. Sometimes I think it's even rude to be on time here in Mexico. Because the Mexican time,
Mexican spirit or something,
it's always there.
Yeah, you just need to come to Mexico and find it out. And have you find like
adapting? Like I feel like Mexican Spanish is a really good Spanish to start with.
Yeah. Why?
Because it's so pronouncing everything. You know, like you you pronounce every.
We don't have like in Spanish that have the
You speak like Mexicans speak with a very open mouth, I would say, and that really helps to understand.
Yes, it's really good, really good.
Really?
Then you understand everything. Like if you're in the process of learning, then it's a perfect. I think it's a perfect type of language, part of language.
I feel like
branch.
If you would go to Chile, you would
Yeah.
probably not understand anything, even though you speak Spanish. Like the first weeks adapting, it's very different. But I feel like here, and people are so willing to practice your Spanish with you. I feel like that's so nice.
Yes.
Like you could just know "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" and people would be like, "Oh, but you're fluent. Like your Spanish is amazing. I'm so impressed. Oh, you're
hyping
amazing."
Mexicans there.
Really, really, and that's so encouraging. You know.
Yes.
It's great. Yeah.
Do you think it's really different, like the language from, for instance, that you were in Argentina? Did you sound did you hear the difference?
Definitely. I met. I went to a tango class last week, and the teacher was Argentinian, and he said hi, and I was like, "Oh, you're Argentinian, right?" He's like, "Yeah, vos." I was like, "You so no, pero." Like you hear it directly. I feel like, but I love it. I love the Argentinian accent.
And do you feel like, for instance, when you have heard other people speaking in Spanish, you can feel...
Yeah, for example, my roommate here she's from Spain, and I can hear a difference when she's speaking, but also the other Spanish people and the Mexican people are speaking together. Well, maybe separate, and they have more their accent. And yeah, I feel it's very different. Well, you notice the difference. Not that very different, but you notice the difference.
But I think it's something that you have developed because you have been traveling and hearing. Because I think... for instance, when people at first they start, they're just like, you are just from like a Spanish-speaking country, right?
I mean, I even thought that some Germans were from Mexico because I heard them speak Spanish, and like, I was like, yeah, who speaks Spanish is Mexican. I don't know. And then after like a couple of months, you realize, yeah, no, you're definitely not. You're very German, but at first
you start like teaching your ear to hear like the little difference.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, estábamos hablando un poco de pues algunas cosas que han tenido dificultades en su intercambio y pues al parecer realmente las dificultades han sido mínimas. Están hablando de también como el idioma, para aprender el idioma siendo español es mucho más fácil aprenderlo aquí en México porque pues tenemos una dicción mucho más clara que pues a diferencia de otros países que hablan español, ¿verdad? Entonces, bueno, esos puntos extras a México y seguimos aquí. Recuerden que están escuchando Global Connection en Tech Sounds Radio. Continuamos.
Impacto positivo. Resultados de una experiencia académica. Positive Impacts.
Well, we're back, and now it's the positive impact moment. And this will be something like kind of a reflection of your experience that you have had so far. Like these past months living in another country, living, for instance, in Monterrey. What would you say that it's something that you will take with you for the rest of your life? Maybe it sounds cheesy, but it's something like...
But it reflects feelings at this moment.
Exactly. Like, I feel like every part, every experience, every aspect of this exchange will stay with me forever. Everything could be the language, the food, the friends from home and from here, the classes, the teachers, the classmates, everything, the campus, everything will stay with me forever.
Yeah, that's so nice. Did you know before, actually?
Yeah.
We met in our first week of uni in the Netherlands, or like maybe second week, but we never spent a lot of time with each other. Like we knew the face, and when I saw Vanina was going to Mexico, I was happy to know her.
Yes.
But we never spent time together before, but here.
Yes, we do
a lot.
Yes, and it's also nice with those people that you don't really have the opportunity to become friend, and then here.
Yeah, suddenly you're like, oh, actually besties.
Yes. Yeah, and in a way you can take it back.
Yes, that's most amazing part.
That
That we
makes
can
it
take
so
it back.
good.
We can take something physical back.
Yeah. No,
Take
you
just
home.
take my suitcase. You come with me.
No, but really, I'm so happy that
Yeah.
we can still see each other at home because that adds up to it, definitely.
Yeah, it makes it more easy in a way.
Definitely.
Because
Definitely.
you create here alive, I guess, right?
It
Yeah.
is, and that's what will stick with us because, yeah, I feel like every time I was talking to friends from home, I was like, I think what's the best part of this is that still every day is kind of like an adventure, and every day still is something new, and I love that it's not like a routine. It's not at all like a routine because every day something new can happen, and somebody can pronounce you something that you would never. Yeah, that you would have never ever thought you would do, but then suddenly you're like, yeah, why not? Like, I'm already here. Why not just do it? And this, like, just going with the flow, and just catching every opportunity to do something different. I think that's so like essential for this time, and like, I hope that it will be influential for me when I get home, and that no, I don't want to get home, but like.
Did you feel that it passed, like, these couple of months went really fast?
Oof. Like 1 week, I think.
Yeah. It's like when we talk with each other, or like whenever I talk to someone, I'm like, oh yeah, like a couple weeks ago this happened, and I'm like, oh no, actually that was like 3 months ago.
Yes.
And like, oh no,
That's
I feel like
crazy.
until the first tech week it was like a normal pace, and then we got back from first tech week, and then it was like, poof, over.
Yeah, that's crazy. I also feel like there's a moment that everything just goes like, okay, it's
Faster.
already like the middle and then end.
Exactly. Like from the middle, it's like already over.
Yeah.
But still until now, it's new things that happen. So I feel like,
And it feels so fast, but so slow, I would say, at the same time, because we did so many things. We did so much activities, trips, and we saw so many new people every day. Then I'm like, it can't have it can happen in only 1 week, as it feels like it was.
Exactly.
I don't know how to phrase it, but
Yeah.
you understand.
Yeah, but when you're having fun, I think
Yes.
time, there's no like, then it's like you can see that actually time is just a perception of us. Like,
definitely.
there's no time. We just put time there. We have created it.
Yeah.
But in a way, you realize that when something it's really nice, it just goes like in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's incredible.
And when it comes to traveling around Mexico, what did you like the most about it?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
It's a tough question.
I feel, for example, seeing different aspects of Mexico, because coming from Monterrey to other areas like Oaxaca, also Baja California Sur, they are very different, and I'm glad to see those aspects, which are also between them different. And it's very enrichissant.
Enriching.
Yeah, enriching. Yeah.
Enriching.
What did you say? In what language was it?
In French.
You also know French.
French.
Wow.
It's so good to have a secret language at times. To be like, see that person right in front of us.
And then the person speaks with you in French.
Yeah, and then it's like, oui. Yeah, no, that's good.
I was like, are they talking in Dutch?
No, unfortunately
not yet.
Yeah, I think, I definitely agree with what Vanina said. And I think one of my favorite places we went to was definitely Puebla. I went with Vanina, actually.
Yeah.
Really? Puebla?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was incredible. We arrived, and we were a group of 5 people, and we arrived before the other 3. We went by bus from Mexico City, which was super easy. Like, in general, traveling around here has presented itself to be so easy because of the buses, and they're not very expensive. They go so regularly, and the buses are like fancy. You get in a bus
really
and you
nice.
you have air conditioning and stuff. That's not even what buses in Germany have. You know? Like German buses could never. Like that system is so good.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but when we arrived in Puebla, we arrived at the Airbnb. We left our stuff. We wanted to get some food, so we went to this market hall that we saw when we were arriving from the bus terminal. So we went back there, we entered, and we were just walking around, and there were like it was kind of an absurd place because
It looked a bit dead.
yeah, like there weren't many people, and like each single one of the stands had just like chicken laying there, like
Yeah, the typical like
exactly like the whole ass chicken.
like a typical market. I
Yeah.
would say.
But there were no people. And then we turned around the corner, and there were women sitting around a table, making flower bouquets. And we were just walking past and like looking at them, and hola. And the second they saw us, they were like, "Oh, guys, where are you from? It's so great to see you. You're beautiful girls. What are you doing here? Tell us about your life. What brought you to Puebla? What brought you to this exact place? Here's food that we're eating now. You have to try this. Try this food. This is a handmade tortilla that I made. This is a soup. Oh, you don't eat meat, but you can eat it without the meat. No worries. Here's my food. Here's everything. We're sharing it with you." We tried it. It was amazing.
So nice.
We left the market hall flabbergasted. We looked at each other. We're like, okay, this is going to be amazing, because if you arrive in a city and the first people you encounter and you talk to welcome you like that, how can that place turn into like a bad experience? It cannot. Like, it has to be amazing. And it continued like that. Like, just every person we met was incredibly nice. The city was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was so short, but
it was
so nice.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed it was Puebla, because I think people never mention like maybe they mention let's say Quintana Roo, Yucatan, Oaxaca, Chiapas, Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Puebla.
We also went to basically all of the places you mentioned, not to Chiapas. But of course it was beautiful. Like the diversity of nature in this country is mind-blowing. Things I would have never expected to see in my life. Even like if you just take a car 1 hour outside the city, you see things and you're like,
wow.
I never expected myself to end up here, but here we are. It's beautiful, but I feel like Puebla, for everybody who went with us, it just has a little special place in our hearts, because it was so warm.
I think it also depends, like we were all in a good mood and we all were together, and it also really depends on the people you go with. And from the beginning was incredible, so we had this image and it's like that way. Yeah,
it's like your favorite spot from Mexico, Puebla.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like the favorite travel experience.
Yeah, because I think it's an overall, right? Like as you were saying,
overall.
like the people you went, like everything that happened, it made it perfect.
And the food also.
But of course,
the food.
I love the food. Yeah. Wow.
What was like your favorite food there?
Well, mole was great.
Yeah, the mole was great, and the tortas, but with the meat of the tacos árabes, amazing.
Yeah,
was so good.
Like
tacos
Lebanese.
We went to a Lebanese place that
really?
we had tacos árabes, and it's like this thick tortilla, I think, like the pan árabe.
Pampita. I think it's that. Yeah, maybe.
And like like a trompo, but different in a torta, and it was super good.
I would say it was like Lebanese Mexican fusion kitchen.
Yes.
It was so good.
Yeah, your falafel.
It was one of my favorite food moments in Mexico, definitely. Yeah.
What was your favorite dish here in Mexico? Yeah, I know it's typical.
I take the joker.
Really? Yeah, no.
Yeah, go for it.
For me, it was super easy. I'm vegetarian, so I couldn't eat that many different things.
Yeah,
but
typical.
The first day, my roommates took me for dinner at Orinoco.
No!
They showed me quesadillas, and they were like, Jana, this is something you can eat for sure. Take these quesadillas, take these papas, take these sauces, and enjoy it. And I became addicted. I cannot imagine a life without quesadillas. I don't know how I will survive when I get back home, but quesadillas, like if somebody needs a quesadilla guide, let me know, because I know every single quesadilla in the city at this point, I think. Best food in the world.
Jana's quesadilla guide.
Open restaurants, only quesadillas.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, it's basic, but so good.
Yeah, I still have to answer the question, I guess, but I would say...
Yeah, you cannot take the joker.
I would say all around the tacos, so of course the tacos in itself, but like also the quesadillas, the gringas, the campechanas, everything around tacos with a tortilla and meat and also queso in it is amazing.
So
and also chilaquiles. I love chilaquiles.
Yeah?
It's really good, yeah. And I feel like they're different everywhere. The tech one, like the one in the cafeteria. I really like them, but they're so different to others. Yeah. And every chilaquiles meal I've tried so far was really good.
Really it's because the salsa it's different, so it makes it all the time. The cheese and
and the cream, not cream. Wow.
Chicharrón, pollo, queso. It's like a whole world. And the even in the chilaquiles, there's a lot of different chilaquiles that you can take. And as you were saying, like tech chilaquiles are unique from other chilaquiles. So like always sponsoring tech chilaquiles, right?
No, they're really good.
We're really hungry. Our stomachs are hurting. Somebody wants to do something against that.
Tech food, get these girls some chilaquiles, okay? They're being like really hyped about them.
We are. I also had one torta that was amazing in Oaxaca.
A torta, really?
A torta with different vegetables. I think the most important thing is salsas.
Oh, yeah, the salsas make a difference. I when I was in Europe, I mean, when I didn't have salsas and I was like, you start eating something and you're like, oh, this is missing flavor. Or you want to add always, like, or what we use also in Mexico, and maybe you have seen lemon.
Lemon, sal, y chile.
Yeah.
And you put that in every meal.
Everything.
Every dish.
Everything is good.
Well, girls, it's time to sum up this program. I wish we could continue talking, but like we have to finish. I just want you to sum up your experience in one word.
Wow.
Oh, that's the worst.
Just like what comes to your mind. Ahorita están pensando en una palabra para que sume toda su experiencia en su intercambio.
I have a French word in mind.
Okay, say it.
Dépaysement, which is like when you're out of when you're out of your comfort zone, but it's not comfort zone, it's out of what you're used to, your culture, your language, everything. I can go and try to find a word for it, an explanation.
I don't know.
But I think you're giving a good explanation.
Yeah, I will. You say yours.
Okay. I was thinking of words like enriching or maybe like colorful in a way, because it was just such a mix of everything. It's so broad and it's so hard to come up with one word. I think I'm not able to, but it was a very changing, but in a positive way, experience.
Eric saying ahorita.
Yeah.
Also I have the definition. Yes. So it's kind of exile. It's the feeling of not being at home in a foreign or different place, whether a good or a bad feeling. It's a change of scenery. For me, it's in a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
That's so nice. Well, girls, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And to all our listeners, remember you're hearing Global Connection. Y nos vemos hasta la próxima. Muchas gracias a nuestros, quería decir escuchantes, pero esa palabra no existe. Es que dije listeners, pero bueno, todos nuestros radioescuchas por estar en Global Connection y nos vemos a la próxima. Recuerden que están escuchando Tech Sounds Radio. Muchas gracias.